So Hearthstone has cards, and some of the cards are bad, actually like 2,500 of the 3,000 that are in the game, and I thought, hey, let's type in the word epic in my collection manager because I do happen to have all the cards, look at the interesting ones and put them into this video. Now to trigger your OCD, I do have a stain somewhere here on my t-shirt, so that might annoy you for the next like 10 to 12 minutes, if so, sorry. I'm doing my laundry right now and it's about another hour until it's done, so... Fell Steel Executioner, that's a funny card, right? So it's an epic that, at least in Wild, at least for the Demon Hunter's Eye face, doesn't see play. But it's corrupt and this one becomes a weapon. It's like the Transformers, it's like Optimus Prime in here. It's like Bumblebee. It's a car? No, it's a robot. And this one is not a minion, it's a weapon. It's also an elemental, which is kind of weird for Demon Hunter. Like if you think about elementals in decks, it's Shaman, because of Elemental Shaman, Kalimos and so on. Or it's Mage. Back in Ungoro, you had Frostlit Jaina. Your elementals have lifesteal. This is in Demon Hunter. And I thought the idea is pretty interesting. So how about we had this in multiple stages? Or it could like swap back whenever you want to. That would be even better than just corrupt and get a weapon. Even though the card doesn't see play, it's kind of a cool card. And then we jump over to Druid, where we have Crystal Song Portal. Now you might have seen this card sometimes when you face a Druid who just has get a random spell, which gives you a random spell. And then this one is one of the random spells. But you never played a spell-only Druid. If you were to play spell-only Druid, it might just be Jade Druid. So you draw the entire deck, play York, have some fun, have some memes, and then your hand is empty. And then you could get 3 random minions, which turns out in Wild, random minions are pretty bad. They are really not good. And this one gives you 3 of them. It's kind of like Font of Power, the one for Mage, but spell-only Mage actually works and has synergy, while Druid doesn't. Which is why this always confused me as to why this one is an epic and why is it a card for Druid. But hey, that's basically value, so it's like playing Omega Assembly for 2 mana, and the cards you get are worse. One year played Unstable Ghoul, which is a real card, not just something in Battlegrounds you play against Divine Shield comps. You played this against Naga Sea Witch back in like 2018, because people played a bunch of giants, right? All those 8/8 dudes, and they summoned the entire board full of giants on turn 5, so it's like Darkglare Warlock, but 2 turns slower. You played Unstable Ghoul and Toxic Arrow, so you give everything death. You just give them death. You give your Ghoul poisonous, and then when it blows up, pew, everything's gone. It was a cool card, but since Naga Sea Witch got nerfed, this card obviously doesn't see play anymore. But what I think would be kind of cool if we had more ways of doing stuff like that, where you combine like 2 cards that have nothing to do with each other and you make a new synergy. That would be pretty cool. So I guess at this point, this is more like a video for the Hearthstone design team for ideas in case you need any, probably not. But hey, that was a cool idea that people figured out. I think it was Reynad back in the day. He also invented Zoo Warlock, and he's building his own game, The Bazaar, at the moment, which we will play eventually whenever it gets released, probably in like 2028. And for Mage, I went with Glacial Mysteries. When you get this card randomly, you're really unhappy. You will need to play at least 5 different secrets so you get the maximum benefit from this. You have to draw this card before any of the secrets, and then you also have to spend 8 mana and you only get the secrets. So it's like playing Mysterious Challenger and Paladin for 2 more mana and you don't get a minion. That's really bad. But at least if York casts that for you while you play Mage, you might get a secret or 2 for free. I would like to see that Secret Mage is not just, oh, I play secrets and then I point face and kill you on turn 5 or 6, but actually synergy around the secrets you have. Problem is though, the only cards we have for secret synergy are summon a copy of this 4/4 minion, this card costs -2 mana whenever you play a secret, draw a card for every time a secret got triggered, stuff like that. And we also had, I think, Illuminator, which restored health at the end of your turn if you have a secret in play. But you can tell there's like one card that is like defensively and secret synergy, and everything else is hyper aggressive, so there's a reason why this card never saw play. Then in Paladin, one of my favorite videos I've ever made on this channel was called 11 Infinite Loops on Hearthstone, where I used this card for an infinite loop. And I found one using Blackguard, and that also reminded me, this card never saw play anywhere. But Heal Paladin is a really interesting, no, I can't even lie. They have a spellstone where you summon a 2/2/4/4/6/6 whenever you restore health, but Heal Paladin, same with Heal Druid, where you had like Lucent Bark for synergy, that is not a deck archetype, that just doesn't exist. Because you need to take damage, so you need to lose on the board, so to say, in order to win on the board and get a benefit from the effects that you have. But think about it this way, you would have True Silver Champion and you restore 2 health after you attack, and then this minion deals 2 damage. Wow, that's only 10 mana for 2 cards and you deal 2 damage. But Heal Paladin would be kinda cool. In Priest I went with the bad version of Prince Keleseth, which is Surrender to Madness. When you play Priest, you either play Raza Priest or Big Priest, or like something annoying that generates a bunch of random spells with like Sethak or Galakrond, right? With Surrender to Madness, you will need to play aggressive, so like Token Priest. But that doesn't work. And instead of increasing the cost of the minions in your deck with a card like Embiggen and you get the same benefit, you have to spend 3 mana and lose 3 mana. Like really, compare this card to Embiggen. Isn't it insane that this card still just exists the way it is? But hey, at least we have it in a class that has close to no card draw. Like the only aggressive deck for Priest that I can think about is either like Mind Blast OTK, which is not really aggressive, it's just an OTK, or you play like Leper Gnome, Sandstorm Trooper, the ones that have death that'll deal damage to the enemy's face. And even there you wouldn't play a card like that. I wish there would be synergy, but there isn't. In Rogue I went with Lotus Assassin. This card came out like almost 6 years ago in Gadgets, and I just like the idea that this card exists because even though it never saw play, it is like how Rogue should be, right? It's like stealthy and Rogue. So you have a minion, you can't target that, you attack something and it goes back to it's not targetable. Isn't that sick? That's like Rogue as a class within one card, if that makes sense. Like the flavor is on point, yet obviously nobody plays that. Back in the day it was basically Stranglehold Tiger, but better. But I think it's safe to say that in the past 3 years at least, you have not seen a single person playing this card. But the flavor, it's on point, it's so good. For Shaman, we have everything that is wrong with this class, and that is the keyword that is specific to this class. It's called Overload. Overload is terrible. Overload is so bad. Like, you lose mana for playing a card. And I have Finders Keepers, as you can tell. I always like the artwork because it's a white rabbit, and it reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, where you have a white rabbit. For 1 mana, you get overloaded, so you actually spend 2 mana to discover a card that overloads you. Where's the point in doing that? Back in the day, you could have played this card and discover another Finders Keepers and technically go infinite. And if you had something like Tunnel Trog on the board or anything else that synergizes with getting overloaded, then you could have had an OTK with insane amount of luck. But yeah, no, just no. This is terrible. Why is overload the keyword for Shaman? They could have thought about something better. Next one. I also like the artwork there and the effect when you play it. It's Void Contract for Warlock. So back when you had Rastakan's Rumble, terrible expansion, you had Hyreek, and Hyreek was such a great legendary to play in Warlock. I mean, wow, you play the card, you win the game. So when Void Contract also came out in the exact same set, you were wondering, what do you do with that? Like, obviously, the spell can be cast by York randomly, and then it's like, oh no, my deck is gone. And it could be seen as an anti-combo card, but the problem is when you play this, you also blow up your own deck. For example, if you think about Ticketus, when you play Ticketus for Tempo, you blow up your own deck. When you play him normally, you blow up the enemy's deck and win because of that. You have more value, they lose cards. With Void Contract, it's kind of even. It's also funny when you play this card, you can't see what got removed. You just don't see it. But now that we have Altar of Fire, which is just a 1-mana spell and removes 3 cards for both you and your opponent, I was thinking, can't we make this card like 3 mana or so? And just play this card into double Altar of Fire and then just be in fatigue on like turn 3 or 4? I would like that. Because why play the game? Why not just blow up everything? Playing with cards in a card game? Pathetic. I just click on the board clickerboards. So at least we kind of have synergy now with Nero and the fire thingies and the 6/6 taunt that costs 1 mana if your deck has 10 cards or less, but you can't even select which cards you blow up, so it's pretty random. Just don't sign that contract. And for Warrior, I went with Deadly Arsenal. You could play something like a weapon-focused Warrior deck, which is called Pirate Warrior, but I think even in there you play a single weapon, which is Ankar, and the other weapons are just generated through the minions that you play. This card is... yeah, I don't know what this one exists. It's kind of the exact same idea as Dragon's Fury for Mage, but you at least played Big Spell Mage, and that made sense in that deck. Deadly Arsenal has no synergy with anything besides like playing Gorehall or whatever, and then you deal 7 damage. So why not play Brawl for 1 mana less, which has a better effect. But hey, at least you can play your favorite weapon Warrior. And what you could do actually is, you could play Furnace Fire Colossus. That's a card that exists. In a fully weapon-focused deck, play the minion, discard like 7 weapons, give it 30 attack, and then play Charge and hit face. That's an OTK that I think Mark played once, and then never again. But you can play Furnace Fire Colossus and Deadly Arsenal in your favorite Warrior OTK. And then lastly, while there are a bunch of bad epics in neutral, probably like half of them, like Gurubashi Offering for example, I went with Dark Speaker. I just absolutely love this card. It shouldn't be 5 mana, more like 4 mana or something considering the stats, but I like the idea of this card so much. He can swap stats. That is pretty much the hero they have now in Battlegrounds for the Blood Gem thingies, where you can target 2 minions and swap their stats. But they had that as a card effect 5 years ago. Obviously, it never saw play, but look at the artwork, it looks so sick. And I thought about the following thing. Imagine you play something like Hand Buff, so you make this card like, let's say, 8 attack and 11 health. And in order to promote this card so it actually sees play in there, it will get like double Hand Buff, or like triple Hand Buff, or like some other benefit where you can use this card with, so it synergizes in a way where your opponent wouldn't expect it. And then you play your 1/1 Angry Chicken. But no. It's actually a 7/11. Sad thing is though, good design doesn't really matter because the epics that actually see play are more like, I don't know, Conviction, which is 1 mana, deals 6 or 9 damage extra. It's Leroy Jenkins for 1 mana. But the card is not broken or anything, right? Those are the cards I picked for interesting design that, you know, they all don't see play because why would they? And let me hear what you think about other cards that you think should belong in a list like this. And until next time, where I'm going to say words. Take care.